What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down how to run a dig versus press coverage. So we're going to be talking about two ways that you can do this. We're going to be talking about, or not necessarily press coverage, but more like man coverage. So it's going to be against off-man coverage, and then we're going to be taking a look at kind of this press-man coverage, okay? So it's going to be two different scenarios that receivers come across that I get this question asked a lot, right? If this DB's taking away my inside leverage or he's off coverage, how can I run a dig? How can I cross his face, and how can I get in front of him? And that comes down to a few things that we're going to discuss. But also, guys, if you're a receiver and you want some more advanced content, you won't feel like you're starting to grasp the concepts on this channel, and you want some more advanced things that you can do, check out that very first link in the description that says become a better wide receiver for some advanced wide receiver content on my website. It's everything that we cover here, but it's more so advanced in how to do the things, right? A lot of this is breaking it down, but it's more so on the IQ side of things, specific drills you can do to work on these specific things that we cover. So I hope to get you guys on some of that content too, and I hope it gives you some value. Let's get started. So first thing we're going to be looking at here is this dig against an off-man look, right? So what I got to be able to do here is I got to really sell vertical, right? So that's the goal, especially when it's off man, and I got to make him believe fade. And how we do that is by speed and by pad level or body language. So let's watch this thing full speed. So he's coming off here, gets his pressure step, gets to that blind spot, snaps this thing off, and catches this ball, right? So now this is going to be an off man look, right? So he's trying to keep maybe outside shade, right? Because he's turning towards this quarterback, trying to keep everything in front of him. So what I got to threaten him with is beating him to the outside, right? That's what we got to know. Anytime this DB's off, right? He's an off man coverage, and this is tough, especially on one-on-ones for a DB. That's why DB is one of the hardest positions on the field, but it is tough and be able to cover anything when we're an off man like this with no help over the middle, right? So what we got to focus on doing as a receiver is that we want to threaten him to where he doesn't want me to go, right? He doesn't want to get beat over the top. He doesn't want us to just beat him with speed and just accelerate right past him and run a fade on him, because that's why he's playing off coverage, to keep everything in front of him, keep everything to the inside. He's like, okay, I could go make a break on that thing. That's fine. So what I set him up with, they call this vertical set right here. So what this step is it's like that little jab to the inside. Like if you guys were to run a fade against off man or a fade even against zone coverage, right? You would be closing the distance with this guy, give him a move to the inside, little head fake, then push back up to the outside and just try to beat him there, right? Try to get him to sit on post. So that's kind of what this is. We're trying to build off of that. So we want to have some speed off of this vertical set. They also call this a pressure step, right? But that step is just to shoot us into that blind spot, because if we can get here and we could threaten this DB here, that's what's going to force a speed turn out of him. When I could get him to speed turn, or when I could get him to open up those hips slowly, I can create some separation on a lot of different routes, like a comeback, an out route, a dig route, a stop route, whatever it might be. I'll be able to create some separation on it. So you see when he goes here, he's got speed into this blind spot, right? Again, like I talk about, it's all about selling vertical, especially when you're running a dig against man coverage. So if I give him this little jab to the inside and I get to that blind spot, I got to be fast. I can't be chopping my feet to his blind spot, because who runs a fade with choppy steps? You're in full stride. You're trying to run past this guy. So that's what I have to sell. So use that vertical set to shoot you to that blind spot. I force him to almost speed turn out of there. And now when you can make a break and he's going off of feel, that's when we can get some separation. Because when you're right here and you're in this blind spot, he's going off of field. So when you're an off man especially, he wants to speed turn and get out of there. He doesn't want to get beat over the top. So I got to have speed. I got to be able to change direction fast and get out of this break. Now you see how Diggs is able to get out of this break is he's very violent with his hips, and he drops down as just a 1-2, and he's out of this break, right? He's creating energy with his hips, and now, especially in man coverage, what is it? It's a race to this spot. It's a race to where this ball is going to be, so I got to use that energy that I created, pump my arms, and run out of this break and run back to the ball. It's a great job by Diggs working this pressure step. So that's one way you can run a dig. We're going to get into it, how you can do it against press coverage second here. We're going to be looking at another clip with Diggs from this past offseason, but this little pressure step, get to that blind spot, try to force that DB to speed turn, make him guess, and then accelerate out of the break, use my hips to create that energy. Let's watch it full speed. So he's coming off here, pressure step, get to the blind spot, let's snap it off, and let's run out of this break. Okay, so now we got this press coverage look right here, right? Inside shade. So what do I have to do? And he's going to be bailing out of this. So it's going to be like kind of a press bail. I wouldn't call it necessarily a press bail, but kind of a softer press, right? Maybe like a catch technique, right? We're not trying to hand fight. Diggs is obviously very quick off the line, so this DB doesn't want to hand fight. So let's watch what he decides to go with here. So he squares him up, attacks that leverage, gives him a move to the outside, restacks, little square cut at the top, and then he's able to get some separation. So against press, when you got to run a dig, there's a couple different things that you could do right here, right? So he attacks his leverage and he sees that, okay, he's going to back up. All he's doing right here is gathering info on how this DB is going to play it, right? And so this DB doesn't keep his leverage to the inside. If he were to keep his leverage to the inside, I could just take the outside release, try to get him to go hip to hip with me and throw him by. It's all about reacting in some cases. You guys got to be able to have a plan for what you want to be able to do, right? So I attack this leverage. You see Diggs squares him up, but what does he do? He kind of just backpedals, right? And you see how he opens up his hips to the outside. He wants us to run to the outside. outside. He's keeping his space to the inside. So what does Diggs do? He goes 1-2. And he sells with his upper half to the outside to get this DB to open up his hips and get him to commit to this thing, right? Obviously, DB could have stayed a little bit more disciplined, but when we're walking him down and when we attack the leverage of a DB and we square him up, we're gathering information. Like, let's say this DB shot way inside and he was able to stay square. I might just take the outside release if I'm Diggs here and try to work to restack and give a move at the top like he did, or I work, and if he's hip to hip with me, I could throw him by once I get to the top of the route. But it's all about having a plan, all about being able to react off of what this DB does in a situation where he's playing this soft press look and I got to attack some leverage at him, right? So now we get him to jump to the outside with this move, and now what do? He gets cleats out of the ground. It forces this slow rotation. We swat those hands and we work to restack. Now, something you could do at the top of a dig route, right, is a square cut. So what a square cut is, it's like 4 steps. So he would go left, right, and a little head fake on that 4th step of the break. So that's something that you guys can work on in terms of your route running, is that when you restack a guy and you're in man coverage and you're against this DB. Now, here's the thing. This release took a little long. This route took a little bit long, right? So this would not be like a first window zone coverage square cut. Or this square cut would not be something that you would use against first window zone coverage, like you're running out of DB and you use the square cut. Like the last clip that we looked at where it was more off man, it's all about getting out quick, selling vertical, getting him to bail out of there with that pressure step. But this one, it's more like I want to make him miss, so I got some separation. It's a one-on-one opportunity, and maybe I'm like the 3rd or 4th read on this throw. Maybe the quarterback's working from left to right, he's going 1 to 2 to back to me 3. So I got some time to work this thing. I got some time to get some separation, right? So now the technique behind a square cut is we want to break down. We want to drop my hips because that's what draws this DB in. That's what gets the DB to slow his hips down. And I want to sell like I'm doing an out route, right? Like I took an inside release on an out route. I restacked him over the top and I break down 2, 3, 4. And you see that little head fake and he's in this low explosive position. That head fake is what gets this DB to jump to the outside, right? If you throw that upper half and you throw your hip out, you don't just necessarily turn your toe open. You see how Diggs when he comes up here, it's more of like a throw out here and it's his whole body turning, right? DB's eyes should be a little more disciplined. They should be on that hip. But when you throw your body to the outside and it's more like a crossover rather than just a step there, that's what can get this DB to jump, or it's more likely to get this DB to jump, right? So make sure I'm throwing my whole body at the top of the square cut. It's a drop 2, so it's 2 steps to drop your hips. 3, 4, you throw yourself to the outside, get him to jump, and then when I'm here, okay, I got him to jump, I got him to move, I got some separation. Let's keep my separation. Let's pump those arms, and let's widen the distance. That's a great route here by Diggs. Let's watch the thing again, full speed. So this is one way you could run a dig against press coverage, or kind of this softer press. You want to attack leverage. You want to square him up, attack his midline, because if he does keep that inside if he does keep that inside leverage, we got a plan for it. And if he does what he does and he backs up, you can set him up to the outside, restack to the inside. So watch the thing again, full speed. So great job by Dig, working up, giving him that move, restacking, giving him that square cut at the top, and making this play. Great route. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, leave those in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And also, guys, if you want to get more advanced wide receiver content, check out that very first link in the description. I'll see you guys next time.